calories and energy coming from grains, trying to get those at least 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day in, at least 2 to 3 servings of milk, and about 5 to 6 servings of meat or protein product, and limiting those fats and sweets. And of course, those serving sizes I gave you would vary depending on the time of life for that child. It's going to increase as you get older, obviously.
Melissa, I notice you have a variety of props here. Could you give us sort of a rundown on how this all relates to the good nutrition that we're talking about?
Sure. I just mentioned the food guide pyramid to use as a general rule of thumb. Another tool is the healthy plate method, and this can be used for children as well as adults. And the thought behind this is that you want to cover at least half of your plate with a serving of vegetables, a quarter of your plate with a starch or grain, and the remaining quarter with a lean protein to make sure this will give you a well-balanced meal. Excuse me, another way to assure that you're getting all the foods that you need is, as parents, when you're doing the food shopping, you want to make a food list. It's a good idea to make a list of what you need and try to shop the perimeters of the food store. That's where you're going to find your fresh fruits, your fresh vegetables, your dairy products, and your meats and proteins. And try to limit the purchases that are made in the middle of the stores where you have more of your processed high-fat foods available.
Okay.
What I have here, excuse me, is a demonstration of portion sizes. We can eat all the right foods, but if we eat too much of even the right foods, that could be detrimental too. And portion control can be a challenge. What I have here is just a demonstration of showing how portion sizes and packaging has changed over the years. This is what we used to consider a bagel. Now, you get a bagel like this. When you say you wanted a soda, we used to have a 12-ounce can or a 12-ounce bottle of soda. Now you have the option of the 20-ounce soda. And this is just another example, a bowl of cereal compared to another available bowl of cereal. And what's tricky is that if you look at the packaging, they're both considered one serving. It's just that the serving sizes have gotten larger. So portion control is really important to help limit the amount of calories and fat we're consuming. Now, I know we don't always walk around with measuring cups and spoons with us, so there's some general rules of thumb that you can follow when you're out and about using some common products that we're familiar with for measuring. For example, a baseball. A baseball is roughly the size of a cup of vegetables or the appropriate size of a bowl of cereal. The CD. The CD here is what is considered the appropriate serving size of a pancake, not what we're used to getting at Denny's.
I'm guilty.
A deck of cards, or the palm of your hand, would be the equivalent of a 2 to 3 ounce serving of meat. A computer mouse, about a half a cup of vegetables, and 2 dice would be the equivalent of about 1 ounce of cubed cheese. Try to limit yourself to that at a party.
This is bad news.
So portion control is really important, and as from your remark, you can tell that a lot of times we tend to go over. Some things we can do to help maybe control our portion sizes. One is to use a smaller plate. If you fill a smaller plate or use a smaller plate, you have you control the amount of food that you're putting on that plate.
Speaking of smaller plates, I have noticed that cruise lines use smaller dinner plates. And if you look at the way, I mean, obviously the presentation of the food is beautiful and everything, but if you don't tune into it right away, you don't realize that you actually are getting smaller portions.
Right.
And cruise lines are famous for food 24 hours a day, so I guess in a way that's how they help. Yeah, it's helping us and it's helping them to sort of do good nutrition from that standpoint.
A little trick of the trade.
But this is really what a pancake should be, eh?
Yeah. Another thing we tend to do is, let's say you make a sandwich and you bring a bag of chips out to the table. Try to portion out what you're going to be eating and then put it away. For example, if you're having chips in a sandwich, take out the handful, wrap up the bag, and put it away rather than keeping that 10-ounce bag of chips available for you to keep reaching in and out of. And
I have a lot to learn here.
And lastly, looking at those food labels, because as I mentioned, packaging, what we might perceive as a 1 or 2 serving package, can really probably be providing closer to 4 or 5 servings of an item.
So in its own way the food is being packaged today, the amount of soda, et cetera, that you're drinking, this is what indirectly is helping to contribute to the childhood obesity problem.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So again, what we have to do is get to the parents in order to educate the parents to educate the children.
Exactly.
What are the dangers if we don't, being a nutritionist, what are the dangers if we don't eat this healthy diet?
Right. Well, there's a lot of conditions and diseases associated with unhealthy eating. To mention a few, obesity, obviously, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, diabetes, stroke. And the scary thing is a lot of times we associate these mostly with older population.
Right.
But that's not true anymore. We're finding these more and more prevalent in younger adults. Even in children 12, 13, 14 years old are being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, or what we consider adult onset diabetes, directly associated with childhood obesity.
Okay, well, it's been an education for me. Would you like to make one more comment concerning mothers and breastfeeding?
I do. I also wanted to make a comment about general nutrition for the children, is that the Academy of Pediatrics recommends that the children have 5 fruits and vegetables a day, that they only have 2 hours of screen time a day, an hour of activity, and actually 0 soda, 0 fruit drinks. That would be better to give them water or fruit juice, and then the portion control for that also. With the breastfeeding, I just want to go back for 1 second when we're talking about the community supporting the breastfeeding mother, that anybody that's working in a business should, allow a woman who's coming back to work to breastfeed. That doesn't mean the baby has to be breastfed at work. What it means is the business should allow that young mother to have a private place to go so she can pump her breast milk so it can be given to the baby. And that if the business allows a woman to do that, she's more likely to continue to breastfeed. And also that woman who is working is more likely to stay at her job because she's going to feel more content, like she's contributing to her child, that her office is supporting her. And in addition to that, she will be out of work because her child will not be as sick as often, and she's going to be a more focused worker. So we call that the business case for breastfeeding. The business will save money, and the mother will be a more productive worker.
Okay.
So we really encourage that.
Sounds very good. And I want to thank both of you. I've learned a lot, and I'm not happy with what I'm eating, but I guess I'll have to try and change things. So thank you both very much.
Thank you.
ICN and its members are committed to strong, interlocked, efficient, and effective network of human service systems, improved opportunities for residents in our community to achieve well-being, and to strengthen the organizational capacity of member agencies. To learn more about ICN, visit us on the web at icnconnections.org.